Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Catalyst Wedding Review Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jen Samacco, and I'm the leader behind Catalyst Wedding Co. As most of you know by now, Catalyst is a print and online wedding publication dedicated to taking a more intersectional approach to weddings and showing more realistic and diverse representations of weddings and of couples. So each week on this podcast, we'll be looking at the role that pop culture plays and how we think about weddings and the perceptions that we have, especially when it comes to planning our own weddings. This week, we are going to be reviewing an episode of Gilmore Girls. So I don't know about you guys, but I have seen Gilmore Girls more times than I can count. Graduating from high school in mid-2000s meant that I was on the exact same year as Rory Gilmore, which meant a lot of Gilmore Girls watching as a teenager. So, spoiler alert, we will be discussing the plot details of this episode. But as we are only going to be on episode 3 of season 1, I seriously doubt we're giving away any critical details about the main characters or what happens to them. So even if you're afraid about spoilers, you should go ahead and keep listening because we're not giving away anything big. And in this particular episode, the main characters, mother-daughter duo, Lorelai and Rory, are actually almost more of a backdrop, as the Independence Inn, where Lorelai works, is going to be home to a large double wedding where a set of twins is marrying, you guessed it, another set of twins. So, as you all know, I don't pick which movies and TV shows we review each week. That is the job of my amazing guests. And this week, I am super pumped to have Amy Shackelford with me on the air. Hello, Amy.
Hi. I'm so excited.
Yeah, she and I are both Gilmore Girls fans.
Super fans, yes.
And so I was super jazzed that you picked this. Amy is the founder and the lead planner of Modern Rebel & Co., which is an alternative event planning company based in Brooklyn, New York, and very recently extended to Austin, Texas, which is super exciting. Amy and her team specialize in what she calls love parties. So basically, she plans weddings for people that sort of hate weddings.
Exactly.
And she uses weddings and her company as a way to give back to local nonprofits, which is really awesome. So when Amy isn't planning weddings and the coolest parties around, she is traveling, testing out a new recipe, or dancing like a fool to Shania Twain, which is appropriate because there's a Shania Twain reference in this episode.
Which I did not plan, but the universe just is always watching and knew that we needed to talk more about Shania Twain, I'm pretty sure.
God bless all Canadians, but especially Shania Twain.
Yes.
So
always.
Is there any reason why you wanted to review this episode in particular?
You know, when I thought about an episode that or a TV show or whatever that included a wedding, immediately, because I just watched so much Gilmore Girls, this came to mind. But and then I didn't realize it was only episode 3 of the whole series. And I was like, oh, wow. I just didn't remember that it was so early. And so in a way it was kind of nice because I was like, oh, wow, they're so young and not yet, characters are not well developed at all. But I would say I chose it because I think back when I watched this so long ago, originally, I've definitely seen it multiple times since. Maybe subconsciously, it was sort of a trigger to me of the wedding world and industry and planning process is insane. I never thought I would be in this industry, and this is an exact testament as to why. Even the decor choices to the personalities and what comes out, I was like, ugh, weddings are crazy. And then I was like, oh, this is exactly why I never planned to be in weddings. And then now here I am.
Yeah, it's definitely, and we will obviously get into more detail here, but it's definitely a kind of over-the-top caricature of a big wedding that where a bunch of things kind of go wrong. But, I feel like looking back on it compared to other depictions of weddings, it's also a really realistic wedding. And like,
Yeah.
I've seen real weddings like this a lot. So it's funny to see it depicted in a way that is a little bit poking fun at it, and
Right.
also like a little bit just critiquing the whole wedding planning process. So yeah,
Definitely.
I'm super excited that you picked this one. Because there are a lot of really good moments to discuss.
Yeah.
And because I love Gilmore Girls, and
Same.
Carly Romeo also really, 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 really loves Gilmore Girls. And when
She does?
she's obsessed. She
Wow,
loves
I
it.
did not know that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and she
Lots of
was
Gilmore
like,
Girls fans.
you better sign me up for every episode in which we're discussing Gilmore Girls. And when I told her that you picked Gilmore Girls, she was like, I need to be on this. Um,
Oh no.
Sadly, she is traveling, or else I think we would be doing a combo episode right
Ooh,
now.
that would have been
But
awesome.
yeah,
Okay. Too
I'll
bad.
I'll let you know when she wants to record in the next, because there are so
There
many weddings in the show.
I know. Spoiler, but
You don't
yes,
know
there
who gets
are.
married,
There
but there are
are.
so
And
many weddings.
I could have picked other ones and I didn't, but I almost did. So I think I'm
This
pitching
is
a
a
series here now.
good intro. Yeah, yeah. Amy might be back. Amy might be back.
We'll see how this goes.
Yeah, so this episode starts like so many episodes of Gilmore Girls with
Mm-hmm.
Lorelai and her daughter Rory attending a Friday night dinner at the house of Lorelai's parents, Richard and Emily. So if somehow you don't know anything about the plot of Gilmore Girls, which is fair if you're a little bit of a younger generation, I'm really starting to realize that the show is old now.
But the new one came out, which was not as good,
Yeah, the new one came out,
go
so
back and
hopefully,
watch
like,
the other ones.
people
Yeah,
are aware. But
that's
this
true.
show started in the year 2000, 18
Wow.
years ago.
Dinosaur age. No.
But as we'll talk about, some of the jokes have not aged well. But anyways, so if you somehow don't know the plot of this show at all, the premise is that Lorelai is a young single mom. When we
Mhm,
start off in the show, I think she's 32, and she
mhm.
had her daughter Rory at 16. So do the math. Rory is now 16, and instead of when she was a teen mom, instead of getting married or living at home with her parents and kind of living her life, raising her daughter in her parents' wealthy, well-to-do lifestyle, she decided to kind of escape all that in hopes of finding independence, and ends up in this small Connecticut town called Stars Hollow.
Independence in and independence. You just made this great
Connection?
metaphor for her life and connection, and I like feel like it's taken me how many years? 18 years to figure that out. Oh my god,
Lorelai, and
amazing.
um, little backstory, which you don't find out this early on, but we find out that Lorelai has actually been working at the Independence Inn since she was
Right.
16, originally as a maid, and like lived in a shed out back with Rory as a baby. So yeah, like her
Yeah.
independence is from working at the Independence Inn. It's not subtle.
Yeah. Well, it was subtle enough for me not to catch it for 18 years.
I don't think I really caught it until just now either. But yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah.
Amy Sherman Palladino was trying to make it real clear, and I just wasn't getting it.
It was just over our heads. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, so Lorelai has really raised Rory on her own, taught her basically that it's important to be independent and it's important to be a strong woman. And Rory is super, super smart. And
Hmm.
Lorelai wants the best for her. So Rory is getting sent to this kind of fancy elite private school. And in exchange from the financial assistance that she is getting from her parents, Emily and Richard, they go to these Friday night dinners every week. So that's kind of the backdrop for like the entire show, is that
Yep.
there's this single mom just trying to raise her kid, and in exchange for help from her pretty judgmental parents,
Yeah.
she agrees to sort of like let them re-enter her life. So yeah, in exchange, they're over at their house once a week. They're taking bites of their dinner in between bitter and snide comments. It's a whole lot of fun. It's not really the main focus, I think, of our conversation today. It's important context to have, but we are here to talk more about the wedding that is being held in this particular episode at the Independence Inn. So the Independence Inn, it's like a boutique inn in rural Connecticut. Lorelai is the manager, and so she's also sort of like the event coordinator, the wedding planner.
Yeah, she has a lot of jobs.
She has a lot of jobs.
It's pretty unrealistic for how like relaxed she is. But yeah, she has a lot of jobs.
She has a lot of jobs, and I also still to this day don't have really a full understanding of like how big this inn is, like how many rooms it has.
Me either. Yeah.
So,
wait, but there is an episode where they talk about it, the Bracebridge dinner episode.
Oh yeah.
Right?
There's like 14.
They like invite all their friends. 14 was the that's amazing if that's right, because I have no idea.
It could be completely wrong, but I also wouldn't be surprised if I have memorized the lines to many of these episodes.
Yeah, I know but I mean, I think that like what exactly does Lorelai do? She's the manager, right?
She manages the inn. That's how she says
that's
it.
Her. That's her broader title. Okay.
Yeah.
But then like this is the one wedding. It seems to me, based on the series, that this is the one wedding they did, and then they were like, no, not doing that anymore. Right? Like, are there any other ones at the end?
They have one other wedding there.
They do?
Is one of the main characters who gets married at a point in the future, who I won't divulge.
Oh, right. Okay, so there's that one. But basically they were like this. They were like, this industry's crazy. We're not doing this again.
Even the
until
someone were like, no.
Yeah. No. They were like, even just a fake wedding was scary. We don't. They were like, we're not going to even get into real weddings. Just pretending there was a wedding was scary enough.
Yeah, let's not make this a major plot point. It is one of the very few times we see a wedding, and you know, so much of it is not even from the perspective of the couple, or in this case, the couples getting married.
I think the couples say like, maybe the grooms say nothing, and the brides maybe say one word. I don't know. I don't feel like they talked at all.
They talk very little.
Very little. Yeah.
Lorelai is primarily working with the mother of the brides, because once again, there are two brides, they are twins, and they're getting married.
They're not marrying each other. Normally we say two brides. They are sisters that are marrying another set of twins on the same day. And they're identical twins. I guess we should.
Two sets of identical.
Is that a common? Just curious.
I don't think it's very common that identical twins marry identical twins.
If someone hears this podcast and they've been to a wedding, even if they know someone that's happened to,
we need a real life testimonial.
We need a real life testimonial
right now. So write in Jen at catalystwedco.com. Please tell me your real life testimonial of if you are a twin who married another twin.
We're not shaming you.
No,
but we're also just curious because I've never heard of that.
This episode is kind of shaming you.
This episode is shaming you, but we're not.
We're not.
We support your love story. We just have not heard of any real life love stories where this has happened.
You do you.
Yes.
So the first time we really see the brides, I'm trying to remember their names. I think it's Jessica.
Yeah, the second J one was, they weren't as, they didn't say her name as often. She wasn't as central, but Jessica I remember.
I think it's Jessica and Jackie.
Okay. You're probably right. I feel like you have the better memory of the two of us, apparently.
So Lorelai's kind of giving them a tour. It's like Saturday morning, and I guess they're having a Sunday evening wedding.
It's definitely during the day though, because when they do the first dance, it is like bright outside.
That's true.
This is a brunch wedding. I'm like, here we go.
Okay, so it must be that I don't know when they're doing this walkthrough because
The timeline is weird.
saw Friday night dinner, so I have no idea. Like, there's an extra day in there somewhere that just
It's the day between Saturday and Sunday. We just we don't experience that because we live in the real world.
Yes.
But apparently people have 4-day weekends in Hollywood. That's how that works.
Yeah, and even if it was supposed to somehow be over the course of like 2 weekends, I don't think that like any wedding planner is renting out a venue for the course of 2 weekends. I mean, unless it's like really an intense wedding. Anyways, the timeline makes no sense.
It does make no sense. You're right.
So the first time that we see them, Lorelai is with the 2 brides and their mom. And they're like walking over a bridge, basically getting a little tour of like the scenery. And Lorelai is starting to show them some of the decor that's getting set up for the wedding. And this is the first point at which we like see the mother of the brides do her thing.
Do her thing. That's a nice word. That's like a nice way to describe it.
Yes. So I will definitely, I will want your input. But so the dialogue that happens here is that they see the flowers and one of the girls is like, I wanted pink flowers. And the other one's like, I wanted blue flowers. And I shouldn't call them girls. They are women. One of the women is like, I wanted pink flowers. The other's
Jessica and Jackie.
Jessica and Jackie. And so then Lorelai is like, so that's why I thought Violet would be a good compromise. Like,
yeah.
They're trying to fit 2 different wedding visions into one single wedding. So that's a lot.
And my favorite is that she's also in charge of the flowers. She was just like, I kind of figured, so I just did that. There was no deposit, no contract, no like.
Well, then that's when the mom comes in. So Jessica and Jackie are like, well, we didn't pay for violet flowers. We paid for pink and blue flowers. And this is when the mom comes in and is like, you didn't pay for anything. I told her to decorate with violet flowers, and while it is very nice for her to take the heat for me, it is not necessary. If you don't like it, buy your own flowers. And then there's silence. Yeah. And the mom is like, yeah, awkward. I thought so. Go away.
She hates them. She hates them. If you haven't seen this episode, this mother hates her children. Like, legitimately, I'm not exaggerating.
She says that she hates them.
She says she hates them, and she wants them to live very far away from her. And apparently, I'm glad she didn't have a favorite of the pink or the blue, because that would have been quite a scene, because the other one would have felt really left out. So I'm glad the mom just went with the purple. It was a neutral choice, though, compared to the options.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely get the sense that if this is a mom of 2 identical twins who have very strong opinions, that she's now had like 20 plus years of training of how to deal with them.
Right.
She then goes on to say that like their father spoiled them. You never see their father.
You never see the father, yeah.
Get the vibe that like mom and dad are not together anymore, or dad's not around. Lorelai is like, I'm sure they're just excited. And their mom is like, no, they're spoiled and they won't move away.
You're like, geez.
Like, this whole concept is so foreign to me because my mom was like the exact opposite when I got married.
Really?
And she's always like, my mom wanted to like be super involved and was so excited. And she was like, when can we move there? And so
wait, move where? Wait, she wanted to move closer to you?
My parents want to live closer to me or my brother. Or they like.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I thought in the context of the wedding, she was just like, let's just move in. This venue is awesome.
No, but my mom did send me a 40-pound FedEx box of wedding magazines.
Wow. And then you started one. Well, you joined one. You worked for one. I had
already started one when she.
Oh, you had already. You were like, why didn't you buy 40 of ours? That would have been nice.
That would be good. Also, you Catalyst, you know that these are my jam. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So,
But she was supportive, is what you're saying. In a way, she was excited on the other end, like to plan the wedding.
Yeah, and she wanted to be very involved, and so it's really funny to see. I know that you have dealt with a lot more parents of couples.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that occurs very often in your opinion?
Most people, when I say that I work in the wedding industry, are like, who don't work in the wedding industry, it's like this horrified look comes over their face, and they're like, like almost like, how do you survive? Like, how? Just they're confused because they think it's so awful. And I see what they're saying, because the whole industry has completely made people, and sometimes rightfully so, crazy. Because you need to buy this and you need to do this, and oh my gosh, it's the best day of your life, and how can you not be thinking about this? And so I feel like in the parent realm, I mean, I'm lucky in that I've branded my business towards rock star people. Like, so I do work with awesome people, and a lot of times if their parents aren't involved, they're very supportive in the direction of like, maybe they're monetarily supporting it, but they're not like putting their hand in every single thing. Occasionally we have parents that either are very what's the word? very involved. I'll just say involved throughout the process, hands-on throughout the process. And those parents, you know, I have had some of our coordinators too have experiences too, I think, where they've had parents, and it comes from a good place. Usually, I don't think this woman's in this episode, I don't know if it comes from a very good place. I feel like most of the parents I deal with, it does come from a good place. They're very stressed because planning an event where there's expectations, it's just stressful for people. And they don't do it all the time, so they don't have ways of managing that stress. And there's family dynamics that we know nothing about. But people getting a little out of hand, like, yeah, I've dealt with that. But I also feel like I have this weird thing where I secretly, like, when I do deal with it, because I don't deal with it a lot, because I work with a lot of like egalitarian couples that are like sharing in the planning process, and it's lovely and wonderful. I don't know, I kind of treat it like, I kind of try to level with them, and like in a way it's like a challenge. I'm like, come on, let's, like, we're on the same team here. Like, I don't know, it's like it's secretly kind of enjoyable to me. I don't want to say that because I don't want a bunch of parents calling me being like, Amy loves working with parents now. No, a lot of times it's not fun, but I do feel like part of my job is to be really empathetic, and so I can see sometimes where the stress is coming from on their end, and I can see the stress coming from I can just kind of see it in all angles, and I try to like level with the people and where they're at. This lady, I think she's mean. I don't know. I've not dealt with just mean parents.
Yeah, I can't decide if I can't stand her or if I love her.
I know, I feel like you love her, and I kind of can't stand her. So, but this is another big issue that I have with the wedding industry in general, which is like, if you don't want to be doing this, why are you doing it?
And they talk a little bit, and this is sort of a theme throughout all of Gilmore Girls, is like expectations of mothers and daughters. And so this is a really like amplified version of that, is this like relationship between mothers and daughters. And even going so far, at one point down the line, the mom asks Lorelai, like, do you have daughters? And Laura's like, yes, I have a daughter. She's like, do you hate them? And she's like, no. She's like, not ever? You don't ever hate them? And Lorelai is like, well, I wasn't fond of her during labor. And this mom is like, that was the high point for me.
I know.
It's
like, wow.
Drop mic. That's a lot. But like, it gives an opportunity for Lorelai to show that like she has this good relationship with Rory, and there is, it's not super important to the wedding, but throughout the course of this episode, Rory and Lorelai get into a fight, and so like there's the fight of Lorelai and Rory, and then there's this like foil of this mom and her relationship with her daughter,
and she's like, I never want it to be like that. You know, I think Lorelai's realizing, she's like, oh, that is awful. I feel like it's rude to say that to somebody. Like, do you have daughters? Do you hate them? Like, that's a strange question. Like, yes, I do. Like, in what scenario is someone like, yes, you are correct. I'm so glad someone finally asked me this. But I also feel like maybe the reason you love her is because there's so few mom characters that are like maybe honest. You know, I was talking to my mom about when I was a teenager, like not too long ago, and I was like, I was awful. I was like, I can't believe you were ever nice to me. You know, like you like look back and you're just, just dumbfounded by how you behaved. And she's like, no, you weren't that bad. I'm like, you're being generous. I think I was.
Yeah, I appreciate that this is a mom who's, I don't love that she goes so far as to be like, I hate you, go away. Like, that's not great. But
bad communication skills.
Yeah, to acknowledge that, like, it's not perfect, and that, like, you know, I think also I relate to the idea that for every mom, it's not their dream to, like, plan their daughter's fairy tale wedding. And just, like,
I love that. You're right.
Not every woman necessarily wants a fairy tale wedding. Not every woman who has children wants to see that for their own child.
And have their twins marry identical twins. Maybe she can't get over that.
Yeah,
she's like, really, the icing on the crap cake. You had to go do this to make. You were annoying already, and now you're just 2 weddings in one. She did knock out the bill right there, though. She did it all together.
But can you
that was
imagine?
smart.
I mean,
she's a savvy lady.
In some ways, it was probably a lot cheaper, and in some ways, it was probably like, oh my gosh.
That's true. They did have 2 cakes, which I don't know if you saw that.
I did, and one was blue and one was pink.
Oh, I think I missed that. But I did just wonder, for cost reasons, I was like, cut the cake and then turn it around. Well, and then cut the cake, but they got 2. They did not cheap out.
They got 2 cakes, and that's also probably why at the very end of the episode, there's all this leftover cake, and so
I know that was funny.
Take it to the next Friday night dinner, and Emily, Lorelai's mom,
that line.
Is like, this is used cake.
I just love that. I've said that to people before. Like, it's a joke. They'll bring over leftovers, and I'm like, you brought me used desserts? You brought me used dinner? Like, what the hell? I'm like, you haven't seen Gilmore Girls? It is funny. She won't eat leftovers. And I know someone that doesn't eat leftovers. But it's not because he's a rich snob. It's just, he's just weird.
I mean, I can understand if you're like a germaphobe and you don't want to eat other people's leftovers, but these were obviously like cut and prepared by staff.
Yeah.
It's the same as if you got like a slice of cake at a bakery. Anyways.
Emily, she is funny.
Yeah, so we're telling you guys off the bat that these twins are marrying other twins, but that is not immediately apparent in the episode. So it's not until a little ways into the episode where the grooms show up. And this is also when we the first time we see the rest of the hotel staff in this episode, who are main characters throughout the entire series. But Michel, who he is supposed to be this French man who manages the front desk and helps with general management. Found out he is actually French Canadian.
That's
the actor.
Why he's such a Celine Dion fan in the show. He is. He's like a huge Celine Dion fan, and I also love Celine Dion.
Do you just love all Canadians?
I love Canadians. Yeah. I just want any excuse to just bring it back to Canada in this episode. I'm just going to keep finding moments. I do. I love Canadian. I think I love female Canadian. I don't know about a lot of male Canadians. Canadians. Canadian comedians. That's great. No. I don't know if I know a lot of even male Canadians in general, but I love, those are the 2 Canadians that I do really adore.
I'm married to a Canadian, so
so you love male Canadian.
I like
just one,
maybe just that one. Well, now my brother and his whole family live in Canada, and my nephew was born in Canada.
So you have lots of.
He's technically Canadian, so I guess I love my nephew too.
There you go. You guess. You do. Anyway.
Yes. So French Canadian Michel is super snarky and super snobby, and that's just like his character throughout the whole series. So we kind of see him in this episode, and we also see Suki, the chef.
Yes, and, love her.
Lorelai's best friend, played by Melissa McCarthy. If you love Melissa McCarthy, you should definitely watch this series if you haven't. So the grooms walk in, and they run up and they hug the brides, and it's 2 sets of twins hugging 2 sets of twins. And Michel is like, you kept this from me on purpose. They're like a really snooty double mint commercial. And then
they really are. Yeah.
They are.
They're like in tennis outfits. They're
in
tennis
tennis
wives.
outfits, and they're blonde, and they
like really fit, and like exactly what the wedding industry, like that would probably make it into a wedding magazine. Probably one of those wedding magazines your mom got you.
I love you, Mom. Thank you for those magazines.
She's grateful. She is. I'm sorry I brought it back to the magazines.
But then Michelle says something that is really not okay. And this is where I think to the point of like some of the jokes have not aged well. He's like, just let me know when the midgets and clowns arrive.
Oh, God. I don't know how I got this. That's horrible. Ugh.
Yeah.
Michelle. But he kind of does that. He's a
lovable jackass. Is like
he's a jackass, but he knows he's a jackass. Like, we all know he's a jackass. Maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah, but still, that joke does not. Oh,
yeah,
not good, guys. We are not happy with that.
No,
that is
Gilmore Girls. There's other issues. There's a whole nother podcast we need to do on the issues of.
Yes,
there's a lot of issues around Gilmore Girls.
If you're listening to this and you love Gilmore Girls, and you've probably listened to Gilmore Guys, which
yes,
is
I know about that.
A separate podcast where they review each individual episode. So each episode of Gilmore Girls has its own podcast episode. So while we may do many about these specific wedding episodes, if you need more podcasts, there you go. They have one for every episode of every season. But something that they talk a lot about in that podcast is how like there's a lot of homophobia in Gilmore Girls that has definitely come through as time has passed on, and we realize that like a lot of the things that they're saying just are not okay. As much as I love Gilmore Girls in general, I just gotta make sure it's clear I do not love these jokes, and that's not cool.
Well, yeah, they definitely have that issue that there's not like almost any diversity. They're definitely playing with stereotypes in the show. I mean, so there's some issues there as well.
There are. And white feminism definitely could be discussed for a very long time about this show. But we're here to talk about weddings.
Yay.
With just a side dish of white feminism.
Right.
So Michelle is really snooty, and then there's also this whole like exchange where they're all watching the brides and the grooms, and Suki is like, so just go with me here.
Yes, this is so awkward. This was the weirdest comment. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, Suki is like, which one is which? Lorelai is like, I don't know. I think that the one on the right is Matt.
And then Michelle put sticky notes on their back, right?
Yes.
To be like, no, it's that one.
Michelle is like, no, the one on the left is Matt. The one on the right is Mark. By the way, Jessica and Jackie are marrying Mark and Matt.
Can we just put like something out into the universe? Like, can everyone just all the like same letter names? Let's just it's so 2000s. We it's so before that, I guess those people were getting married. So before that, but in this show, it's like
it's very 80s. It's very.
Is it 80s? Is that what it is?
Late 70s, early 80s.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's lots of names out there. So
there are lots of names out there.
Lots of biblical references with that Mark, and maybe Matt's not in the Bible.
Matthew is.
Just kidding. That is a book in the Bible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. It's been a while since I've read the Bible, guys.
So we find out that the way that Michelle is telling the difference is that Mark has a Post-it on his back. And at first, like, Michelle's like, oh, I'm very good at observing people. And then they're like, you Post-it noted them.
I don't know, though. I honestly don't feel that bad about it. They're really identical.
So if you were working a wedding with identical twins,
okay, I would get to know them better than this. Okay, I would hope that I would know them better. I mean, it seems like they're just meeting the grooms.
This is
again
the
timeline,
time.
The day before or something.
Yeah, and it's also they all seem shocked, including Lorelai, that they're twins marrying twins.
Which I would say, in my experience, I mean, I work in New York and I work with a lot of couples. it's obviously not just straight couples, but when it is straight couples, sometimes more traditional people think, I mean, there are grooms that will not be involved in the process.
Which is, it's a bummer, but
it's a bummer. I would say that's not my norm, but I'm not surprised when this came out that
was the norm.
Like the way that they're like, that seems odd to me to just meet them then.
They
but
just
like
show up.
maybe then, and maybe in a lot of more traditional venues. The Independence Inn sounds like a traditional venue to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it really is. It's and the decor is very traditional. So then Suki is like, go with me here. Say Mark walks into a hotel room and he sees his wife naked, but it's not his wife. It's his naked sister-in-law, and he has sex with her. Is that cheating? And they're like, I don't think so.
Which it definitely is. Like, how in what world is that not cheating? Also, I just hate this scenario because it's like, what is the woman? Isn't she going to say something? I feel like she'd react differently. I think she would know also
that it's not her husband.
Yes.
Yes, and I think he would know that it's not his wife. But these are all like, Gilmore Girls is all like fast,
quippy,
quippy comments, and so this is all happening in the course of like 20 seconds. But yeah, it's a little weird.
Yes, it's really weird.
And Michelle is so judgy. He's like, if you ask me, this union belongs on a public access station. It's against the laws of nature and just short of completely obscene. I would really hope that there are not, like, I'm sure that there are some people helping to plan weddings out there who are that mean about their couples. But, like, that's really...
But he's mean to everyone all the time. He is pretty awful to everyone. And he hates his job. He's the worst employee, and I don't understand why he still works there ever. Like, in any other universe, he would not have a job because he's awful. Anytime he's asked to do anything, he's like, ugh. Like, anyone that you worked for you that was acting that way, you'd be like, okay, you obviously hate your job, and it's miserable working with you. And then he's on for 7 seasons.
Yeah. And
it is awful, though.
We see a bunch of other people like helping to set up the wedding, and like there's this big tent. It's a tent wedding outside the inn. There's a wooden dance floor that they put down, round tables.
Purple tulle everywhere.
Purple tulle everywhere on the back of every chair. It's a very like traditional wedding scene.
My favorite is
3-tier cakes.
Yeah. There's this guy who is tying... Do you remember this?
He's tying bows in the trees.
And she's like, no, the chairs. And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh.
Like, what dude are you hiring that's never... Well, I guess if this is the only wedding they've ever had in the inn.
They're like, oh, what's a wedding? Guess these should go in the trees. He just legitimately climbed it, though. Like, I don't think was there a ladder? I don't remember a ladder. I was like, this is weird.
It's a little bit of a mix of like, okay, Lorelai has everything on lockdown. Everything is really well organized, but like dude's in a tree. Rory is writing the place cards.
That was crazy. She was writing them like an hour before. She was like writing all the names. I just want everyone to know that we don't do that for people. That's weird. That's
an hour before the wedding, you're not writing place cards.
What are the names of the people coming? Let me just write those down. Like, no. Do that shit before.
Also, like, the morning of the wedding, once again, we have no concept of what the timeline of this weekend is actually like. But at some point, Miss Patty, who owns a dance studio in town, is giving them dancing lessons.
It's so weird.
And
she's like really inappropriate at all times.
Oh, Miss Patty? Yeah. Yes. She gets a little touchy-feely with
she is. Yeah.
With men.
Cool.
And then we also see Drella,
Rich. Yes, she's in the first season. She was going to play Suki's part.
Oh, really?
This is some Gilmore Girls trivia. But she got offered a different TV show or something, and there was a scheduling conflict. And so they got Melissa McCarthy, and then they gave her the role of this harpist for like 3 episodes.
Yeah, she shows up again later. She's Miss Celine, who like picks out she's dressed as a much older woman and like picks out.
She plays that part?
Yeah, she picks
She's
out outfits.
brilliant in that part. Oh, I loved that part. Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then also I cannot remember this actress's name off the top of my head, but she is a major character in Amy Sherman Palladino's new show, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, and she's fantastic in that. So
yes, I have seen that a pilot episode, and she was great. And I think they're friends. I think they're big fans. Yeah,
the rest of that, yeah, it's good. I mean, there's some more white feminism stuff there, but apparently that's a theme.
That's an Amy Sherman Palladino.
ASP. So yeah, we see Drella. She's the harpist. She's going to play the harp. This is where the Shania Twain reference comes in. So
I greatly appreciated.
So
as we all know,
the mom of the brides is like talking to Drella, the harpist, and is like, Jessica wants Philip Glass and Jackie wants Shania Twain's "I Feel Like a Woman" on the harp.
Which, thank you. I mean, some seriously funky choices for a harp, and I'm appreciating that.
Yeah,
I want to hear that on a harp now.
I kind of do too.
Is there a YouTube of that on a harp? Because there should be. At least.
If you're out there and you're listening and you play the harp, we would really appreciate it if you could play Shania Twain's "I Feel Like a Woman," record it, and send it to us.
And maybe I'll hire you for my wedding.
Yeah.
So
Amy's getting married and she needs a Shania Twain playing.
I need a harpist playing Shania Twain. I'm that diva. Give me a call.
And so Drella's like, I'm not a jukebox. I play what I want to play. And then the mom's like, I'll give you an extra $100. And
she's like, okay.
Do you feel like that's pretty realistic in that if like family members or anyone has like out there responses, they'll just be like, I'll give you more money?
Oh, I don't know if people do that. If they have the money and they do, then it works. I think. But I don't know if everyone has the money to just be like, I don't know if $100 would always cut it. I guess for a harpist, maybe. If you just like to a caterer, like, we need fancy imported cheese from France. So that was typical. I should have gone with a different one. France. And you need to get it to a stat. Here's $100. They'd be like, no. But maybe if they're like, here's $1,000.
That's not in our contract. So yeah,
very important to have good contracts.
The concept of a contract doesn't seem to exist in this particular wedding world.
I don't think so. I also found it extremely strange. There were a couple just wedding moments, like things I was like, what? That doesn't happen. I've never, and we did almost 35 weddings this past year. I never saw someone dance with their bouquet. It was really awkward. And I'm really happy I hadn't seen that in any of mine that I've done, because I was like, wow, that's weird. She was like dancing like with her bouquet in her hand, and it looked so weird. I don't know if you noticed that.
I mean, I noticed that it looked weird, but I didn't realize that it looked weird because of her bouquet.
Her dancing just looked weird.
Yeah,
that's kind of true.
Like,
too.
This is a strange scene.
It was
so like once again, it's a TV show, but it seemed like there were like 10 people at the wedding. We never saw the ceremony. It was not about.
I really wanted to see how they did the ceremony, because I was curious about that. I would like two sets of twins. A
double ceremony, and how
do they kiss at the same time? Was it different? Like just
one officiant, or
two, like separate sides of the room, same time.
Two officiants speaking in unison.
Yeah, exactly. This is bad. I'm not shaming you if you have had a double wedding.
We want to know. We're very curious.
And we'd actually like to bring you on for round 2, because I feel like I just want to understand it better. It would be a challenge as a planner. I would be like, how do we do this and make it feel intimate and romantic without it just feeling like crowded?
Yeah. It's not a wedding and of course it's like a backdrop to the plot of the main characters, but it really does take over a lot of this episode. Like we don't really get a sense of anything about the couple or who they are, if they even really like each other. They just like hug and kiss, and then they dance, and that's kind of it. And
can I mention 2 more weird things that happened?
Yeah,
like wedding related. One, swans? Question mark?
There was.
Do people do
swan?
I have this funny thing in my letter that I write to like couples that like in our pricing and packages. I have like a letter that I've written basically that's in the attachment, and it's like, we're not the oversell you on the swans type of planning company or something like that. And I thought it was funny, and now I'm like, I think it's because I've only ever seen this happen in movies and TV shows, but I've never been to a wedding where someone actually had swans. And
what about doves?
Doves, I haven't been to a dove wedding either. But I will say that I'm just terrified of swans. So also, if someone wanted them, I would just be like, I can manage vendors. I can't manage swans. I don't want to be near them. I'm scared of it. I was Michelle in that moment.
Michelle is also terrified of swans.
Which is fair.
Yeah, apparently they ordered like a dozen swans, and Mick, the swan delivery guy, who's actually Kirk.
I know.
But he has a different
Nick.
name. It's season 1. Stuff is weird.
Yeah, stuff is weird.
Shows up only with one swan, and Michelle is terrified of swans because he was apparently attacked by a band of swans as a child. And then, of course, as usual, Lorelai like pokes fun at him. Yeah. It's like, was it an all-boy band? A sort of
that was funny
in sync kind of fiasco, which was
I did love that line.
But yeah,
I appreciated that. And then the guest book. Rory is like it looks like people are like checking in to a hotel, but it's the guest book. Isn't that weird? She's kind of like guarding it.
And Lorelai asks her like, "How's the turnout?"
Like they don't know who's coming. Like
there was
like
no RSVP. It was just they wrote in the clouds like wedding at the Independence Inn, and they just wanted.
That would be an amazing invitation. A cloud invitation. I'm all about that. Let's do it.
Take note.
Yeah.
In some ways I feel like it's a very realistic depiction. In some ways I feel like it's not. The mother-daughter, parent-child dynamics are weird, but I can also see like that level of stress causing a parent.
It does cause a lot of stress, and sometimes between the family dynamic in general, because you don't, as an adult, right? You're not around your family all the time usually, and so it's bringing all these people together that maybe don't see each other all the time. Yeah. All families are weird. Like everyone's got something weird going on. And then on top of that, there's like this weird money thing, and that's I think what it totally talked about in this episode, which is like a lot of times parents pay for the wedding, and what is the level of involvement? They're writing the check, and some parents are like, "I'm giving you this money, but I want it to reflect you, and here I'm just giving it to you and you plan it." And other parents are like, I am planning it, and like you're getting married at a church now,
and I get the final say on what money goes where, which seems totally reasonable to me. But in this case, it's like obviously
she hates her kids.
she's not very concerned about making sure that they're happy with the scenario. But honestly, like other than the flower thing and the soup and salad thing where they like fight about whether or not to get soup or salad, which.
And then Lorelai's just like, why don't you give them a choice? And they're like, wow, oh my God, you're amazing. Yeah. Like I did love that she was like so good at this job she's never done before, which.
But at the same time, Rory is writing place cards. So you're like, okay, my 16-year-old child is helping. I mean, maybe that is realistic. Maybe they're,
Is that legal? I don't know.
I don't know. I love Bob's Burgers, but it sure isn't legal to have all their kids running that restaurant. Anyway, it's a cartoon.
TV, the world of TV.
Yeah, and so it gets to be the very end, and everything seems to have gone pretty well, and the mom is finally really happy because it's over, and also so excited because apparently they have just told her that they're all going to share a condo in Tucson, like all 4 of them.
They just started a really kinky new show in Tucson.
She's like so overjoyed because it's hundreds of miles away. Yeah.
I wanted her to be wasted though, and she wasn't. Like I really wanted her to be like
tipsy.
Like I really wanted that moment, and I didn't get it. So I was a little disappointed.
She's enjoying it.
She did seem like she was happy. I will say that the moment where she thanks Lorelai is a really gratifying moment that I experience a lot. And normally it's the couple, but the parents too will come up to me and be like, thank you so much. Like they're just so grateful that someone was on top of the details. Even though Lorelai looked like she didn't even get there until it started.
Yeah, but also earlier on, she was like listing out all the things that could go wrong, and Lorelai seemed to have a solution for everyone. And
that's true.
And the mom was just like, "This is my favorite place in the world." And it's like, okay, there should be more weddings here if this is how good she is.
Yeah, you're great at this. get on Yelp or something, because Independence Inn got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Which I think is a line at the, oh wait, this is something else. Is this the same episode? When Emily says something like, it's at the dinner, to bring it back to the dinner.
Yeah, so at the very, very
dinner.
beginning, at the dinner that they're having in the opening sequence, one of the conversation topics is about how Rory has to start a sport. And so the side plot that's happening throughout this entire episode is that like Rory goes with her grandfather to the club to play golf. Which
yeah.
It just, yeah. Anyways, so Emily tells Rory that she can go golfing with her grandfather and that she can use your mother's golf clubs. They're upstairs, gathering dust with the rest of her potential.
Which she just delivers that line like it's like
Emily Gilmore is
give
on it.
And yes, she does not care.
Mm-mm.
She just says what she's thinking and she does not care at all. She's like, yeah, it's just up there gathering. If she said it like it was like another, like a dish rag or like something else or like a like a little thing, she's like, oh, it's just up there gathering dust with the rest of your mother's potential. Like it was like, wait, what did you just say? Like you just said something really mean, but it didn't even sound that way. It sounded like she was just talking about an object that she could get.
As funny as this show is, I think reflecting back on this episode is that Amy Sherman Palladino knows how to write some really mean things.
Yeah, I'm scared of her now. Yeah, I really don't want to be on her bad side. Yeah.
We love you, ASP. Don't say mean things about us.
Yeah, please don't.
Couple of final questions for you as we wrap up here. So how much do you think in modern day numbers this wedding would cost?
Oh, modern day numbers? Okay, so they're like getting married like this
not
weekend.
2000 numbers.
Got it.
Like year 2000 numbers.
Okay, 2 cakes, full service catering, we think, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 dresses. Are we talking? This is basically 2 weddings.
Yeah.
I would say, and it's I mean, I don't know. I feel like Lorelai first wedding maybe is undercharging at Independence Inn. Mm-hmm. Could be wrong about that. Not sure with the venue costs.
The tool could also have been reused.
Yes. The swans, I feel like they weren't cheap.
No, those swans probably not.
Those swans were
that
friggin' expensive.
Swan, actually.
I feel like it was at least $100,000.
Really?
Maybe. Yeah. Think about it. Swans, 2 cakes, full service catering for, well, I don't know. We don't know how many guests they have. That's a big factor.
It looked like there were 12 guests, but that's because it's television.
Okay, I changed my mind. It was $5 a person. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it was probably like, I think it's safe to assume like at least 50 person.
But like Connecticut's not like, you could charge, I think it's at least $65 a person. Suki is a really good chef. She's top notch.
I feel like this is probably a wedding that's more on par with like national averages of.
So maybe like $80,000 for 2 weddings. I'm just thinking it's 2 weddings.
That's true. It is. And those cakes are big. Those cakes are big.
There were at least almost $1,000 those cakes, and then they got cake toppers.
Mm-hmm.
Did they look like them? I didn't see them.
I don't remember if they looked like them.
That would be a good pause moment, but I didn't.
Yeah. But with the tents and the tables and the rentals and the dresses.
The harpist.
And oh my gosh, their dresses are so 90s. They're spaghetti straps.
Oh, I know. And they had a band, right?
They did
Bands
have
are more
a live
expensive.
band.
I'm going with my 100,000. I think I'm right.
Okay.
There's no way we can prove this. So
I love a good 90s spaghetti strap dress.
The 90s spaghetti strap dresses were amazing. Yes.
I love it. Is there a part that you like really could not stand in terms of the wedding?
I don't like traditional wedding cakes that much. So I was kind of like, meh. I was like, really? You got 2 cakes? It just seemed like a waste because I just know if you were going to do even just get
They're
one.
They're going to end up as leftovers at Emily Gilmore's house?
They're going to be used. Yes. They're going to be used food. That no one eats that much cake, even if it's 1 cake. And with 12 guests, that's going to take a long ass time to eat. Maybe a single cake. Or at least like chocolate. They were like the same flavor. Like, come on. Like, give us some
variety here,
yeah.
Well, they were super white. They were wearing their tennis whites. They were super blonde. They had their white cakes,
Oh, yeah. Their Connecticut wedding.
White wedding, man.
It was a white wedding. Yeah.
In every way.
In lots of ways.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for coming on and helping
Of
me
course.
to unpack the wonder and the joy that is this episode of two twins marrying two twins.
If there's ever a Shania Twain or Celine Dion reference, I'm in. So now you know when to call me.
Good to know. I will put you on speed dial for the next Shania Twain. I have sung Shania Twain karaoke. I think I should just share that with you.
I love you even more.
Drunk on a cruise ship. That's me.
Yes.
Surrounded by people who are
Which song was it?
Age.
That Don't Impress Me Much?
Yes, it was Don't Impress Me Much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was it. I was like,
I would have loved to see that.
Like a woman. Yeah. Well, it was really bad. It was really bad.
Doesn't matter because
I also did I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt. It was a good
that was a good night for you.
Yeah. It turned into a not very good night for me, but that's a different story.
They always start that way though, right? You're like, that was what happened?
The amount of drinks that needed to be consumed for me to be willing to get on stage in front of strangers on a cruise ship and sing karaoke. But hey. All right, so girl. Finally, can you tell all of our listeners where they can find out more about you and your business?
Yeah. Find Modern Rebel on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Modern Rebel and the word AND and co on Instagram. And we're basically, if you really don't like wedding Instagrams, then you should follow us because we're basically like the fun feminist, like, I don't know, buzzkill of the wedding industry on Instagram. We're at modernrebelco.com and on Facebook, we're facebook.com/modernrebelco. So it's Modern Rebel Co. on everything except for Instagram. We've got an and in there.
And Amy and Modern Rebel is one of our longest running vendors in the Catalyst community, and we love her to pieces. So we definitely vouch for all of her work. And if you want to see more of her work, there is lots of it over on Catalyst. So
totally.
Check Amy out.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. And any excuse to watch more Gilmore Girls, I'm in.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll definitely have you back for future episodes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
The Catalyst Wedding Review podcast is a production of Catalyst Wedding Co. Show your support of Catalyst and this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/catalystwedco. You can find real wedding inspiration and advice for feminists, the LGBTQ+ community, and woke folk at www.catalystwedco.com. And if you're engaged and looking for wedding vendors that share your values, then look no further than the Catalyst Vendor Directory. Also, follow us at Catalyst Wedco on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Our theme song was composed by Momentum. Our co-founders are Liz Susong and Carly Romeo. Our operations manager is Marley Hilton. Our editorial team consists of Amber Marlowe, Michaela Dietz, Jordan Maney, and Cindy Savage. Our intern is Sydney Zwick. Our advertising and sponsorship team consists of Katie Wannon and Erica Swift. For advertising or sponsorship inquiries, email sales@catalystwedco.com. As always, I am Jen Samako, the CEO of Catalyst Wedding Co., and I am always open to hearing your thoughts. Send your ideas and comments to jen@catalystwedco.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great week disrupting the wedding industry.